So I know for a fact that over the years, there have been numerous movies and TV shows about science fiction, like aliens, weird oddities, and bizarre events, that may or may not have happened over the past thousands and thousands of years. But, these movies and shows can range from, like, The Twilight Zone, or Star Trek, or Unsolved Mysteries. But then there comes one show that aired whenever Fox decided to put on the network, which is called Beyond Belief Fact or Fiction. Beyond Belief Fact or Fiction is the kind of show that in some way matches other shows like Unsolved Mysteries and Are You Afraid of the Dark because of its scary storylines and chilly atmosphere. But unlike those shows, this show is more of an anthology series, kinda like the Creepshow franchise. I remember back in 2005 that I happened to see the show on the Sci-Fi Channel, and I started to watch repeats whenever I could. Eventually later that year, it stopped airing on said channel, and for years it was difficult to find full episodes anywhere. But thanks to video websites like YouTube, I can watch the entire series whenever I want. I became a huge fan of the series, so much that I even made comics based on many of the stories. It stars my three main characters at the time, Nick, Nicholas, and Green, who was a rip-off of Blue from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, I might as well add, as they essentially just go through the same stories as the original episodes went, except that Nick and the gang explain it at different perspectives, and often give out jokes to lighten the mood and whatnot. This is what happens when you enjoy a show so much. Many stories include Halloween, You Are Next, Angel on Board, and so on and so forth. Ever since the show premiered back in 1997, it's had a huge cult following. I mean, nothing big like Star Trek or Invader Zim, but still a good following nevertheless. But even though that it's still following and whatnot, I feel that not many people actually know of its existence and stuff. So today, I'm going to be doing a full review of my experience with the show. Originally, the show premiered back on March 25th, 1997, and ended on September 5th, 2002. Throughout its run, the show would be aired sporadically, not unlike other shows like Family Guy or Futurama. Over the years, reruns would end up airing on the Sci-Fi Channel until 2005, and just recently around 2011, it started to air on the Chiller Channel. The plot for each episode is pretty simple. 5 stories are shown in a 45-minute period, and by the end, you have to guess if it's real or not. Originally, the host for the show was James Brolin, but as the second season started, he was replaced with Jonathan Frakes for the remainder of the series. Many don't know that this actor used to be a major character in Star Trek: The Next Generation, but now I'm starting to distract myself. Right before a story begins, the host goes into a discussion about the theme of said story. Like for example in the episode Red-Eyed Creature, Jonathan discusses about what we may see and what someone in fear might see. Many of the stories are usually fabricated, and from what I remember, the stories that are real are usually from news articles and whatnot. Although there is some violence in the show in episodes like The Nightmare, the show for the most part was rated PG. What is so good about the series is that the environment and atmosphere is so suspenseful and eerie, even when an episode sets its location in suburbia. I have to say that the visuals in between episodes are always interesting to see. The music really fits into the storylines. It's suspenseful, eerie, and just the right amount of scare that will intrigue you to want to watch it more. The opening theme itself dives you into a world of uncertainty, and I love it. Also, after the end of each story, Jonathan ends up giving a pun about the scenario, always ending with a shit-eating grin. You can't help but to love that. As I reach the end of this review, I figured I'd do something special for you guys, so I decided to give you my top 10 favorite Beyond Belief Fact or Fiction episodes. Number 10. Angel on Board. Essentially, as a woman tries to enjoy her trip on a plane, a stewardess manages to use her telepathic powers to warn many times throughout the story, like to switch seats and buckle up. I won't give away the twist as to why she would need to do all these things, but let's just say, planes go boom. Number 9. You Are Next. An unhappy married man calls up a hitman to murder his wife, but when they both hear from a buyer that they are able to sell the store for $600,000, he ends up calling the hitman back to call off the hit, but only if the person on the other side of the phone can find the hitman in time. Now throughout the rest of the episode, he becomes really paranoid about if the hitman ends up completing his job despite calling it off. Trust me, as the story continues on, it becomes more intriguing to watch. Number 8. The Mirror of Truth. A snobby attractive woman gets her comeuppance when she ends up cursed to look ugly, but yet everyone else sees her the same way she was before the curse was laid upon her. The twist at the end is pretty great. Number 7. Mail Order Degree. A man on TV advertises that he can help people into getting high-profile jobs within 6 months by giving them phony degrees. Now, how the hell does this character get his comeuppance? You expect him to get arrested, or to get robbed, or even stabbed or whatever, but I have one word to sum up his death in a nutshell. Radiation. Number 6. The Scoop. A writer from 1883 has a bizarre dream about volcanoes erupting on a distant island. He wakes up and writes it all down. The next day, the editor finds it and congratulates him on his impressive story. He then informs him that it's not real, but a short story based on a dream that he had. But that proves to not matter, as they later on find out that the story that he wrote actually happened that same day. I can see M. Night Shyamalan coming out from the right side of the screen saying, "What a twist." Number 5. Kid in the Closet. This story is definitely a classic. The premise is that a young kid is afraid of monsters that hide in his closet. His brother and friends, who I might as well mention are assholes, make fun of him because of this. It's not until his older brother locks himself into the closet and is suddenly gone from said room is that maybe there is more than clothes in the closet. Number 4. Red-Eyed Creature. A family moves into a new house, and at first everything is fine until in the middle of the night, the child and his mother end up seeing red eyes coming towards them, thus scaring the shit out of them. Now the father and nanny end up having to explain to them about the reality of the situation, but the nanny isn't everything as she seems. Number 3. Ring Toss. This is probably one of the weirdest stories to be on the show, and that's really saying a lot. It stars a crooked criminal at a carnival that often cheats people out of their money by playing his ring toss game. That isn't until an older gentleman manages to win the game numerous times, giving away the prizes to children all around. The carnival then threats the old man because he's lost his leverage with the prizes and whatnot, but the old man then tells him he'll get his comeuppance. I won't even give away the ending for you all, you'll just have to see it for yourself, but let's just say that the old man's laugh is never ending by the time the episode ends. Either it'll scare you, or you're just not annoyed. Number 2. Creepy Comics. A comic artist is belittled by his publisher that his stuff isn't scary enough, so he decides to give him the ultimate scare by not only committing suicide, but also sending his publisher a comic about every single detail about what happened within during the day. I'm pretty sure it'll have a happy ending. Maybe not. Number 1. The Wailing. The reason I put this at number 1 is, to be honest, the ending really scared me for a long time. The premise is that a writer and his wife move into an old house that was built around the 1920s. They both keep hearing weird noises throughout the night, but don't really question it. When said writer is working on his horror story the next day, he ends up hearing the noise again and ends up finding a hidden room behind a bookshelf, where he ends up finding a little girl hidden in there, as the door shuts behind him, thus making him stuck in there. That night his wife and an officer are lost on where he is until the little girl starts wailing again. That is when they find the husband and the decayed body of the little girl that we saw earlier. Yeah, I know that all it is just a simple skeleton, but the fact that it's a little girl from the late 1920s that was stuck in a small room that she couldn't escape from that was heated like a sauna is pretty frightening to think of, especially when she wails throughout the nighttime. Now keep in mind that I was only 12 when I saw this, so you can forgive me for being so spooked out when I watched this originally. But whatever, it's my review and I'll do whatever I want with it. I'll end it how I feel like. Well guys, I hope you enjoy my review of Beyond Play Factor Fiction, and next week we'll dive into a creepypasta about a lost Nickelodeon film that was only recently found. Have a nice night.